Ding. Just because I like my symmetry, I like my kind of compact positions, no weaknesses. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave on the left board, the green board, feels like he's given us some squares away. That being said, he's wriggling very nicely with his knights. I'm going to say both positions very equal. I think for the white players, for Lazavik, for Grischuk, not opening successes. And clock's level on both of the boards so far, it looks like. Oh wow, maximum tension though in Grischuk versus Ding. The wall, the center of pawns is about to explode. Maybe we jump into that game first. Vachier-Lagrave pushing pawns, meanwhile going on the attack. We've just seen some exchanges after Ding pushed forward in the center. Bishops came off on the light squares. And Tanya, it feels like things are just going to get exchanged. But White's king could still go either way. What do you think? What do you predict? Left or right?
Left. I'm predicting to the left. I'm not swiping right on this one just simply because I want to get that kingside attack going eventually. You know, there's a hook on 8-6 as well, already inviting a knight to f5, potential sacrifices. I'll also point out a potential bishop to g3, pinning that e5 pawn. David, I just get the feeling that Ding rushed through with that central break d5. He could have still consolidated his position, gotten his pieces to better square, sort of prepared that. It just felt that it came too soon. And bishop g3, long castle, knight g3, and there it is. He's going to go for the attack on that right side of the board. This is not going to be easy for Ding.
Yeah, these top grandmasters, they never swipe right. They're so fussy with their decisions. Castling kingside, queenside here, Alexander Grischuk. And like you said, the white king is actually super safe on b1. Kings are normally safe when the queens are around, so great decision. Isolated pawn incoming for Ding as well, long term, even if he survives the kind of attacking phase next. Maybe he's going to centralize his rook. Maybe your bishop g3 move. Actually, that looks really nice, Tanya. Okay, he puts his king in the corner first, or closer to the corner, and advantage Grischuk, it feels like.
And this is something I've learned commentating with you. You know, whenever you castle on the queen side, whenever you long castle in chess, try and take a moment out to put that king to a safer square, get it towards the corner, just away from any opening up of the c line, any checks along the diagonal. Use that one move to put your king and then go on for the storm on the other side. We pointed out the king side attack. The hook on 8-6 invites it. g4, g5 incoming. It sort of just parts itself out. It sort of just tells you that this is the plan that you want to go for.
Yeah, big moment. Ding, scared, understandably, of that g-pawn thrust there. Does try to simplify the equation here. He tries to trade off pieces. Normally, you would want to take back on d4 with pieces. Maybe a knight, maybe a bishop, just to keep black's isolated pawn. But the more trades that happen, the less scary the attack becomes. Okay, he does trade it with the bishop first. Grischuk with a bit of a grimace. Ding, head in hands. Clock time, 30-second difference. I'm expecting him.
I ordered 200 hand-forged knives to my dorm room and built a Wix website to sell them. I'm Noah Rosen, founder and owner of Forged to Table Knives.
Let's head over there because this has now slowly transformed into a more strategic battle, a fight against the IQP, the isolated queen pawn. The other one, a lot more complex, a lot more rich. Denis Lazavik with the white pieces as a beautiful outpost at the center of the board. Put a bishop or a knight there, and just looking at that square, David, with material balance, I'm really liking Dan Laz's position here.
And it's not even material balance for long. He wins a pawn. He wins the f5 pawn after that little trade. That's greedy, but here, understandable, Tanya. He's transforming his advantage. There's another big square suddenly popping up on White's radar, the e4 square. Looks like a clear pawn and a clear advantage for Denis.
It's like White has the extra material and all the initiative to play for. I think this move was absolutely necessary because you need to stop knight coming in from e4. Did you spot a tactic? What's going on?
Yeah, watch out. There might be some knight takes h3 stuff in the air with the black queen swooping in. You have to be a bit careful with White. Oh, trade of bishops first. Denis lands a knight in, and apparently a big mistake. Is there some... there's some tactics, bishop takes e2, some discoveries, Tanya?
I think you're still eyeing that knight into pawn idea, and I'm just wondering, can you throw in a queen to g3 at the right moment, threatening that check as well, knight takes pawn? But there's so much to calculate with knight f6, so no. He does come in. Knight takes pawn is an idea. And after king to h1, David, bishop e5?
Ooh, watch out. Bishop e5, the black queen is coming in with some nasty checkmating ideas. that would just be winning on the spot if the white king shuffles into the corner. Dennis, he kind of sat up for a second. There we go. He sits up again, leans into the screen almost. He's realized that he might have taken his eye off the ball. He just wasted a very important tempo, posting up a knight on a nice square, but actually there were bigger priorities. He needed to kill this counterplay. Now it might be a bit too late.
If you don't have king h1, how are you fighting knight takes pawn? King f1, maybe there are other options, but I think knight takes pawn might still be in the air. He gets rid of the bishop, so no bishop e5 anymore. Rook takes rook. The big question is, David, can black throw in a knight takes pawn? He decides not to. I think the white queen would have swooped into a defense eventually in those positions.
And now he goes into the corner. Now there's another pawn dropping. At least it's level material for MVL. At least he's got the pieces on the king side, just kind of circling the white king. This is a 3-result position. I could imagine this going very wrong for white if he doesn't get his knight and queen into the action soon.
It just looks like right now black has the piece activity, but the worst pawn formation, right? With that f6 pawn slightly weak, white's rook sliding onto f1 at the right moment, targeting it. But it just feels that the queen on e3, the knight on g5, threatening to take the pawn on h3 at the right moment. I agree with you. Like, this could go anywhere. It's the bar is level, but draw is the least likely outcome in this one.
Agreed. I think the only way this is a draw is if maybe the queens and knights come off the board, a rook endgame. Maybe that one is equal. But of course, there's too many pieces on the board. Ooh, I don't know if you dare take this pawn now because there'll be some nasty, nasty checks. And the black rook would come in as well.
You just lose instantly, right? Queen e1, queen e5, game over.
Oh, even better, Tanya. Queen e1, queen e5, the white rook would have been hanging on f6. Yeah, you don't need the black rook when you can just pick up material. Queen f2 is a great defensive move. Queen's off the board, you are so much safer.
I agree. And now you don't want to take on d3 because queen takes pawn would have been very dangerous. David, now I would say draw is the most likely outcome in this one. You know, level material, black will defend that f6 pawn. You could bring your king forward as well, reroute that knight from g5. You've got rook e3 or rook e1 check as an active square in this. Should we quickly check in with Liren versus Grischuk now that the dust is settled in this one?
Yeah, this one, Dennis Lazavik, a bit lower on the clock, but should be a draw. Let's jump over to the other game, which is also looking roughly level. And Tanya, I'm going to say this has gone well for Ding. Queens are off the board, but the white pawns are fixed. And I was going to say, clear plan. I see holes. And that is the currency here for the black king, who might just be walking in a bit later towards some targets.
It's the hill you want to climb with your king, right? And you've got a direct path into it. Also, the fact that it's a bishop versus knight endgame with pawns on both flanks of the board, that usually does favor the side that has bishops because long-range pieces, you've got more target. There's always the idea of going b5, b4, creating some weaknesses long-term as well. You know, the rook on e3, really beautifully placed, tying down white's pieces to defend. Yes, the bar is level, but I think if anyone plays or is feeling ambitious here, it's got to be black, David. a4, a3, another thing to watch out for.
Yeah, just incredible. Like, very impressive, the move a5, pushing that pawn, just totally locking down the light squares. That's what he's going to do. He's going to put as many pawns on light squares as possible, keep his bishop on dark squares, Ding, and he should be doing well. I'm very surprised he traded rooks so agreeably there. Maybe he just thought he could push through with d4, but that one would maybe invite some pins. It's not 100% sure. 100% clear that favors black. Now, if you move your king in, then white's knight will jump in with a check.
What is your prediction? You know, let's bring up our two-board view as we go into the second bullet territory in this one. I know something catches your attention, but which one of these matches do you think will go down to an Armageddon, David?
Maybe neither. Grischuk, maybe with an advantage, suddenly the bar rising for white. Actually, the graph suddenly with the advantage for black on that left green board. Tanya, it still feels like the drawing margin is high, but Ding's just lost a pawn. Or has he?
I don't understand. That. Whoa. Already he's playing with 12 seconds, king c2. What's going on here?
Yeah, I think white maybe could have done something better, even some clever stuff with the white rook, but that blue board now, Ding is about to be a pawn down, and it's going to be a race. And this is a check, a very scary check. Look at the white pawns, they're motoring forward. The white pawns are so much clearer, kind of closer as well to touchdown, Tanya.
And the thing is, you're going to have two connected passers, right? You pick up the b7 pawn, and the black rook is tied down to defending c3, and the pawn's really far away on the king side to create that passer. Things looking very good for Grischuk on that right board. It's advantage white there. Meanwhile, Lazavik, Maxim still in the balance, but now it's playing on seconds. Anything can happen.
Yeah, that green board, anything can happen. Maybe we just show the final stages of Grischuk against Ding right now. Although Lazavik, just as I say it, Lazavik made a mistake and the black pieces are coming in. Black's taking over on that green board.
It's the light squares you were talking about, right? The king marches happen. Look at that knight, rook, and king combo playing against that white king. The knight can move back. The d pawn will be killer. And on the blue board, it's the a pawn that's going to decide.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Looks like chaos. Grischuk is about to win. Meanwhile, he's about to push through with his pawns. And here, the black d pawn. Can this promote? That is the big question. It looks like he's actually blown the advantage, Maxim Vachier-Lagrave, due to the time situation. But here we go. It's still easier to play with black, Tanya. That pawn is so strong.
Yeah, what you want to do is put that knight to defend that pawn, and then ideas of rook c2, rook c1. King g2 stops knight f3. And now Denis Lazavik goes for the b3 pawn. He wants to get a4 in, tear those pawns apart, and pick up c4.
Yeah, he's coming. There we go. It's going to be 3 versus 2. But, maybe he took the wrong pawn. Why didn't he take the c pawn? Now the black pawns are disappearing. This is just going to fizzle out towards a draw. Not enough pieces left. As long as he protects his knight here, white, this is just going to be a draw now, Tanya.
Well, even a rook and knight versus rook would be a draw, but I think that's not what you want right now. You just pick up rook takes pawn, and that is over. Everything gets traded. This ends in a draw. Let's quickly rush over to the remaining game. Grischuk still trying to grind down with that extra pawn in a winning position. 14 seconds. Can he do this?
He is winning. He needs to slowly inch his pawn forward. The problem is, as soon as the white king pokes its head out, it will get checked. It will get checked away back, and it will have to retreat. So here, Grischuk... Oh, has he blown it? Now the black king is coming. The white rook is tied down. The black king is going to run over. He's going to sprint over to the left side.
What was he supposed to do? What was he? Oh, you will tell us what was the right move there, because I thought b4 was the most natural move in the position. And look at Grischuk. He knows that he's blown it.
Yeah, this is a textbook draw. If you shift it across, by the way, everything across towards the center, one flank, then the white king has enough kind of leeway to outflank you on the queen side. But here you just get checked. You're being forced back. Look at Grischuk. He realizes there's no way. You have to retreat the king. And this is the key for anyone. If you defend from the front, you have to have 3 squares between the white pawn and the black rook. That means you cannot be outflanked. You cannot step the king forward. And yeah, you need the black king further away. He had the black king cut off 4 files, Tanya. Now it's down to 2.
And it came down to that one moment, right? With 10 seconds on the clock, he played the most natural move, giving away all his advantage. And David Ding has got that perfect setup where the white king has no path in and black king just keeps shuffling around. And now you give checks, forcing the king back when you attack that b pawn. Give a check back again on b8. And we see your idea working out. This is why the rook on b7 would have just lost. 2 squares, not enough. The position gets repeated. And Grischuk cannot believe it.
Wow.